Let's get into planets. All right, planets are obviously going to be one of the most important things we look at within astrology because we are always looking at the planet and where the planet is, like which degree it's at, but then also what is the planet in alignment to, right? Is it in Leo? Is it in Virgo? Is it in Pisces? Is it in Sagittarius? Is it in Aries? So whatever planet we are looking at, we are also looking at the degree of the planet to find other alignments and then the zodiac constellation that it is in. All right, so planets guide for astronomic astrology. I like to take into account pretty much everything when it comes to planets. So obviously we're going to be looking at the astronomy a little bit, but then also the astrological interpretations that we can take away from that too. Okay, so our solar system is made up of eight varying sized planets and one dwarf planet, which we see with Pluto, that revolve around the sun. When I was back in my day, Pluto was a planet. Now it's just considered to be a dwarf planet. But I do think that we consider it within the zodiac or within astrology, most of us consider it to be a planet still. But again, I don't know. Take it for what it's worth, right? It's way out there doing its own thing in that weird orbit. But the sun, our sun in particular, is the solar part of the solar system. All right, so it all starts with the sun. Obviously, we are here on Earth, so there's a lot of other planets happening, but just in scale, look how big the sun is in comparison to the other planets. So obviously, our sun's energy is going to be huge energy for us. There is a division between Mars and Jupiter called the asteroid belt, which you can see here. So we'll get into personal planets here in a second, but these are just the major things to know and understand is that there is an asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. So the from the sun to Mars, it's kind of its own little section, and then we have the asteroid belt, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune with Pluto, and then we have another belt out here of asteroids as well. All right. And then within astrology, we consider the sun and moon to be luminaries, not planets. So if I say planets, generally you can assume I also mean the sun and the moon, but technically they are luminaries. So keeping that in mind as well. The moon technically is called a natural satellite, which, you know, take that however you want. All right, so the personal planets and placements within astrology then is going to be everything from the sun to Mars, and then that's before that asteroid belt. Okay, so that's kind of the border that we're working with here. So when we look at personal planets, Mercury, Venus, and Mars are considered the personal planets in astrology as they are the closest to us, having the most impact. One could argue that, Jupiter and Saturn also have a major impact and they are larger as far as, size goes. But when we're talking about like which are closest to the Earth, we definitely want to consider these ones here. So, personal planets and their transits are interpreted as having a direct impact on us personally. So if you're really wanting to get to know somebody as a person, who they are without the influence of others, it's generally looking at their sun, their moon, their rising, their Mercury, their Venus, and their Mars, okay, or yours. And then the personal planets altogether will be those placements or the placements are more so like your rising placement because that's not a planet, it's just what is on the easternmost horizon. So the personal placements altogether, or your big six, would be your sun, moon, rising, Mercury, Venus, and Mars. So each planet has a meaning and a significant energetic impact on us all. We will explore what all of the planets mean for us energetically here on Earth, because that's what we're relating things back to. All right, so then we have Jupiter and Saturn. They are their own little chunks. They're what we call the social planets. So Personal planets make sense. Things personal to you. Obviously, we have like Venus that happens with or deals with like relationships in relation to other people, but generally speaking, that would be like their personal value systems as well. Whereas the social planets, Jupiter and Saturn, is meaning that a lot of these energies often take place with other people. So, meaning that this energy involves other people or societies. So, for example, I have my Gemini or my Jupiter in Gemini. So typically my Jupiter energy is able to come out through Gemini energy with other people. So laughing, communication, trolling, having fun, stuff like that, learning, like gossip, social stuff. So that can definitely involve other people, making your Jupiter and your Saturn more social planets. Again, those energies will impact you personally, but it's more so playing out with others or with society. And then our outer planets, they will impact us on a collective or a broader level. These are also considered to be like generational planets. So, for example, like Neptune will spend a certain amount of time in a sign, like let's say, or like yeah, Neptune in Capricorn. So everybody that is born then with Neptune in Capricorn, they will likely have similar characteristics. So, but that impacts everybody born, in a span of like 10, 15 years, sometimes even like 40 years. So those are more generational or they will have an impact on the person individually, but again, it's more of a collective energy as well. So, like Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, those are considered to be the outer planets, meaning, again, it will impact the person on a broader or more collective level, generally speaking. There's obviously going to be exceptions. For example, like if you have your Pluto right next to your Venus, definitely going to put more of an impact on your Pluto energy because it is in conjunction or right next to your personal planet. So there are different ways where social and outer planets can take on more of a personal meaning if they are closer to those personal placements. But generally speaking, overall, these are going to be more societal, generational, broader scale type things. All right, next we'll get into the sun, but those are helping you understand the differences between the social, the personal, and the outer planets here. So you'll hear people talk about those a lot, and those are the differences there. All right.